Somebody let us loose in the dollar store again. I don't know how it happens, but every now and then we're like, let's just go see what they have. Let's just go look.
They have some fun stuff for spring right now.
Today we're going to show you 4 quick and easy upcycled Dollar Tree projects. Hopefully it inspires you to get your hands a little dirty and do some creating. So I picked this up at the Dollar Tree. It's a plastic butter dish. I think the detail around the top is going to look really cute with some milk paint, and we're going to add a mold to the top. First things first, we have our IOD Monarch mold here. Zeb is going to be pouring.
We're going to be playing with some resin today because it's going to set up quick and it's going to work really good for Jami's handle she wants to create. We're using a 2-part resin, amazing casting resin. And I'm just going to do equal parts. And this will cure up white when it's all done. When you're stirring it, it's going to get kind of cloudy, and then once it starts to really combine, it'll go back clear again.
If you're interested in the DIY products that we're using today, the paint, the brushes, the molds, and anything else you might see, be sure to visit jamirayvintage.com.
While we're waiting on the resin to cure up, we're going to start on the thermometer craft.
We have this old board lying around that actually was gifted to us when we took over the shop. It's about the perfect size. We're going to give it a base coat, add some fun stencils, and then secure the thermometer. It's already stained, but I want to add a nice dark painted background so that way my stencil really shows up. I'm using DIY paint in weathered wood and a DIY paintbrush. My board is all painted, so I'm going to set it aside to dry and get started on another project.
We're going to take the butterflies out. They're not quite fully cured, but when you pull them out like this, they're still pliable, and we're going to do something fun with them.
So we originally got this idea from Debbie's Design Diary. We'll link her video below. She did a similar project with a lamp and made beautiful 3D butterflies. If your resin is all the way hard, you could throw it in the microwave for like 10 or 20 seconds and it'll become pliable, and you can mold them that way as well.
So the masking tape will hold its form so that it doesn't want to flatten out with gravity as it cures. And the glue, we're using Gorilla Construction Adhesive, will keep it where we want it. The construction adhesive is going to take the longest to dry, so we're going to get that going right now. We've got a smidgen of paint left in the bottom of the can. Usually we use this for stenciling, but we're going to add a little bit of salt wash texture to this and apply it to our little fence gate.
How much exactly is a smidgen? Is it like more than a smoot?
Yeah, just a tiny bit more than a smoot. That's a smidgen. I'm basically trying to guess at 1-to-1 ratio here.
Yeah.
You want it to be real nice and thick so it can almost stand up on its own.
I'm just going to be dolloping this on there in a haphazard fashion without full coverage, and then once it's dry, we'll come back with some white paint and sand. This is just a drawer organizer from the dollar store, and I'm wanting to give it some texture so it doesn't look like the plastic that it actually is. All right guys, back to the thermostat project. I'm just going to give this a little sand, and then we're going to go ahead and stencil it.
So we are using the Flower Garden stencil. It's new here for the spring of 2020, and it probably is hard to see, so we're going to actually use it.
Okay, it's got flowers all over it, and you can arrange it however you want. We're using our JRB stencil brushes, and these JRB stencils are super thick. One of the key tricks is you're going to make sure you want to offload that brush as much as possible. It should almost be dry. That will allow for you not to have bleed through under your stencil. The DIY paint is also really nice because it's super thick and it covers in one coat. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and distress this. And then the thing that you remember with DIY paint is it's really powdery, so you're going to want to blow the dust off instead of wiping it, or else it'll kind of smear all over the place. We're gonna be using DIY Big Top. This is a water-based, all-natural sealer that is solvent-free, totally safe to use inside and without a mask. So this was probably one of our easiest projects, just a little paint stenciling, and our thermometer holder is done and ready to go outside. Our next step is gonna be painting. I'm gonna be working on the trays that our plants are going in, as well as our gate wall decor. I'm gonna paint the inside first because you're gonna be able to see that. Okay, I'm using DIY paint in vintage linen. It's a really pretty off-white, and I'm gonna paint the inside first. You're probably like, hey Jamie, you can't paint plastic. Yeah, you can. It'll hold up just fine. Now, if this wasn't home decor, you know, and it's gonna take a lot of abuse, then maybe it might not work as well. But this clay paint will stick to this well enough that you'll be able to use it for display.
So I've just got 3 little terracotta pots, and we found these little succulents. They were $1 each. And for dollar store succulents, I feel like they look pretty good. And we're gonna hide them down in these terracotta pots and then put them in the trays that Jamie's painting.
I feel like, full disclosure, you can do this with more expensive greenery. Every time we do a dollar store greenery video, we get the people that say, I can't believe you'd use that cheap stuff. You don't have to. You could do the same thing and spend way more money. But we just felt like we wanted to do something that was affordable and easy for anyone, especially when they're just looking for a quick craft to do at home, or even with kids.
So I'm using mint chip. I'm gonna paint 1 mint chip. I'm gonna paint another one in apothecary. And then I'm going to mix aviary with mint chip or apothecary because the aviary is a little more foresty green and I want it to be brighter.
It's going to be so good.
It might be brown, who knows?
All right, here goes nothing. I think even just painting the white on there, you can already see the texture. It no longer looks like plastic. It looks like aged, like old iron railing. And once you hang it on your wall, nobody will know. Plus, since it's plastic, it's lightweight and easy to hang.
Great for that gallery wall you've been wanting to do all spring. A little bit of aviary and a little bit of mint chip. Pretty close to 50-50 there.
I have my 220 sandpaper and I'm gonna distress this. I have not distressed plastic like this before with this technique, so I'm hoping it works the way I want it to. I have sanded it to take down some of the peaks, and now I'm just going to wet distress it to bring back some of that green. This is just going to be used for decor, so I'm just waxing it to seal up that paint and we'll be good to go. Same process on these little trays, and then come back and wet distress it and bring out the mint. Okay, the next step is we're gonna clear wax this piece, and then we'll be ready to add our pots. For my planter, I'm just using these 3 lavender just the way they are from the dollar store.
All right, so the succulents were a little bit small for the terracotta pots. They sit down a little low. So we just got this floral foam, also from the Dollar Tree. Just dropping a little square of that in there. And Jami is on moss duty. She's covering up this little black planter that we don't want to see.
I'm making it look real authentic.
So my pots ended up being slightly too large, so now we've just got this fun one here. We tried to test them at the thrift store, and apparently my measuring was wrong. So only 2 fit in here, but it still looks cool.
Let the record show that I actually did test mine.
You got the right size pots. Well, the succulents didn't fit in the small pot skid.
This is true.
Plan B, we're just going to stencil some little flowers on our succulent pots. We're gonna mix some flowers and succulents.
Ta-da! So I'm mixing up milk paint. I've got sea green milk paint, which in Sweet Pickens is ocean, but at the shop we sell Old Fashioned. It's the same brand. It's a really pretty blue-green color. I'm gonna mix it up with 1 part water to 1 part paint. When I'm mixing up just a little bit of paint, usually I just use my brush to mix it up. Because we're painting plastic, I'm gonna add Extra Bond. So it's 2 part paint to 1 part Extra Bond, so I'm just gonna eyeball it. Mix that all in there. This is food safe, which is why we chose to use this paint on the butter dish. Zeb's using the Turquoise Iris Assistant to get down deep into the cracks of the butterfly.
This glue is not quite 100% set up. It will be in the next 24 hours, but I don't want to wait that long to paint it, so I'm using this delicate light brush.
You're a delicate painter. It might take more than 1 coat. Painting plastic is super shiny, so it doesn't really necessarily absorb the paint, just sits on there. Zeb is not painting the inside of the butter dish, we're just gonna paint the outside and the ledge of the base. Whitewash is happening next. Now, the thing about Extra Bond is it's got a little bit of a plasticky texture, which I feel like works to our advantage when we need to seal it. So the whitewash probably won't soak in exactly the way it would if there were no bond. I've just got milk paint mixed up at a very watery ratio. I don't even know the exact measurements, but it's pretty transparent and will mimic the look of like a white wax. At least that's what I'm going for. Okay, I've switched over. It's the Tipsy by Turquoise Irish brush, and I'm just getting all the details with it because I cannot get in there with that big brush. So I'm just taking a lint-free rag and I'm wiping back very carefully this whitewash so that way you can see the detail of the butterfly.
Which one's your favorite?
Probably the butterfly butter dish. What's your favorite?
I like the thermometer.
We still have to seal the butterfly butter dish with hemp oil, but we'll go ahead and do that tomorrow once the glue is completely dry, because you do have to wipe it off and those butterflies are not quite there yet. The reason we're using the milk paint and the hemp oil is because it is 100% USDA food safe. So if somebody actually does want to put their butter in this pretty little butter dish, it will work. I definitely don't think it's dishwasher safe though.
No, that's a hand wash item only.
Maybe like a just put it on your shelf item.
Maybe
all right.
Don't use it with butter.
Thanks for joining us today. Make sure you're hitting up JamiRayVintage.com for all your paint and products. Make sure you give us a thumbs up if you like this video and subscribe to Jami Ray Vintage for more
DIY. How many dollars did we actually spend? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, $13.
14 with the moss. It really didn't take hardly any product. Like it's minimal. If you already have it, you're not going to use a lot of paint to do this.
Yeah.